Brethren, my heart's desire and prayer to God for Israel is that they might be saved. For there is no difference between the Jew and the Greek, for the same Lord over all is rich unto all that call upon him. Zola Levitt presents
Welcome to Esther for such a time as this. Here on Zola Levitt Presents, I'm Kirsten Hart.
And I'm David Hart. On today's program, the theme is Fight We Must.
Dr. Jeffrey Seif is our special teacher in Israel, and he will be speaking to us from Ammunition Hill right in Jerusalem.
We'll see today that Esther's story still applies to us today.
And in today's drama, Haman gets hanged, but the genocidal order for the Jewish people still remains. Let's go to our drama now.
Haman has found his just reward. His wicked schemes have left him hanging from atop the very gallows he had prepared for Mordecai. But from within the walls of the magnificent palace in Shushan, Queen Esther remains heartbroken. She appeals to the king on behalf of her fellow Jews.
מלכי, אם רציתי אותך, אנא הפוך את גזירת המן הרשע. לא אוכל לסבול את השמדת אנשיי, עמי, היהודים.
נתתי לך את בית המן, עכשיו חוקקי חוק. כתבי למען היהודים כרצונך, וכתמי את החוק בטבעת אשר נתתי למרדכי.
She wanted to be a help. She wanted to save her people. And so she arranges to visit her husband again and petition on their behalf that Jews be allowed to make a spirited defense, given the fact that a decree was enacted for their destruction. In chapter 8, verse 6, I can feel the emotion dripping from the text. In the Hebrew first, where Esther says, Ki ekoko ukal, she says, how can I endure? Ukal, bear. V'ra iti ba'ra'ah, for me to see the disaster, Ra'ah is evil, Asher imsor et ami, that is going to befall my people. She humbly, fearfully, tearfully petitioned her husband on their behalf that the Jews, her people, be allowed to make a spirited defense for their own lives in Persia. Here at Ammunition Hill some years ago, Jews made a very spirited defense for the battle royal that raged over Jerusalem. And many lost their lives here. Hand-to-hand combat was affected in these trenches where every man was a general. Many took initiative and fighting with knives on occasion. They hacked it out till finally the Lord gave them success, which lent itself finally then to the unification of Jerusalem. What a place here. What a place here in the Esther story where we read in verse 11 of the same chapter in Hebrew, where there's a decree that's enacted at her behest where Jews are allowed to offer a spirited defense. We read in verse 11, Asher Natan Hamelech Lihudim, and the king granted to the Jews, Asher Bechol Ir Va'ir, those that were in the various cities, Lehikohel, that they could gather themselves, Villa Amod al Nafsham, and they could stand for their life, Lehashmid, and destroy. Destruction is not pleasant business, but sometimes circumstances are such where we're thrown on our heels and we simply have to act. It seems to me in ways that the world likes Jews that are weak and sheepish. Oh, pity the Holocaust Jews or whatever. But Jews are just not of that ilk to lay down and be docile. And when I look in the biblical text, I see individuals standing up. I see allowances made for the obvious, that is, that people can in fact fight to defend home and hearth. It's great to see Esther using her influence in the struggle. Similarly, I'm pleased to see the allowance made for Jews in the biblical text to go ahead and defend home and hearth. It's a story back then, it's a story today, and it's a story that took place here at Ammunition Hill, where the battle for Jerusalem was waged.
Our resource this week, the series Esther, For Such a Time as This, on DVD. This 8-part series presents the biblical account of the young, beautiful Jewish woman who becomes the Queen of Persia. When Esther is confronted with murderous racial hatred, she allows herself to be used by God and saves the Jewish people from genocide. Contact us for the DVD series Esther, For Such a Time as This.
We'll return to the program in just a moment, but first I wanted to ask if you've ever thought about what it takes to put this program together. I can assure you it's a lot more than just lights, camera, action. There's a lot of prayer and planning. Our family is a lot like yours. We pray and we plan, and we hope that you'll be praying for us and planning to help support us too.
Zola Levitt Presents is more than just a television program. There are many ways to connect with us on social media. Join Zola Levitt Presents on Facebook/Zola Levitt to watch this week's episode. Or join us on Twitter at Zola Levitt. Or watch videos on our YouTube channel, Zola Levitt Presents. And don't forget to find everything on our website, levitt.com. We invite you to keep in touch and join us on social media.
Many of you watching today are connected with us on our social media, YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter. And if you're not, you're missing out. We would love for you to join us. Get so much information on what's going on with this ministry.
And you can contact us. Remember, this, I'm going to go old school, David, with this one. When you used to have a dime, that's old school, or a quarter for a payphone to talk to someone.
I do remember that.
And if you didn't have that, you couldn't talk to them. Now with social media, it's wonderful. You can contact us through all of our social media outlets.
Yes.
Very easy, and you don't have to have a dime or a quarter in your pocket. Now, let's go to our story of Esther and review what Esther and Mordecai have done so far.
It had been a difficult task for Mordecai. While in exile, he had faithfully raised his cousin Esther as his own, counseling her, nurturing her. He had been supportive of the king, defensive of his fellow Jews. He had refused to bow before Prince Haman. Alas, Haman's wicked plan to exterminate the Jews had been thwarted. And in every state throughout the empire, there was joy and elation for the Jews.
And the story of the salvation of the Jews is played out every generation from biblical pages right on through the ages. And here at Ammunition Hill, Jewish people and the world that's interested remembers the struggle for modern Jerusalem. Many died here in hand-to-hand combat, and they're commemorated. Their names are remembered behind me. And similarly, not far away to my left is a big flagpole, beneath which is a plaque commemorating the eternal city, Jerusalem. The plaque is beneath it, and the blue and white flies above it. And speaking of the blue and white flying, it always interested me in chapter 8, verse 15, how when Mordecai is saved, he is donning blue and white apparel. That's striking. Let's see it. In chapter 8, verse 15, we're told, Mordecai yatsa, and Mordecai left, milifnei hamelech, the presence of the king, bilvush malkot, in apparel that was royal, tikelet, blue, vechor, and white. Well, today Israel flies under the banner of the blue and white, does it not, to celebrate? It's a triumph. It's victory over the forces of darkness. And interestingly, today, as yesterday, as we'll see, individuals that are not of Jewish extract are given to joining themselves to the people of Israel. And I'm talking about you who are grafted in. If you'll look in chapter 8, verse, where are we, 17, there's an interesting expression here. I'll give it to you in Hebrew and then in English. We're told, Verabim, and many, me amei haaretz, of the people of the lands, mit yachadim, joined the Jews. They became Jews. It seems that even in this bad news world, people saw God at work and they wanted to join themselves to the people of Israel where God was at work. And similarly today, happily, in a bad news world where Israel is abandoned by many, similarly, many are joining themselves to the people of Israel, people just like you. Oh, keep at it, please. Thank you, thank you, thank you for who you are. You see what God is doing in the world today, and you want to get behind Israel. Here, people got behind Israel, and it cost them their life. I'd ask you to pray, please, and ask God what He would have you to do in order to be supportive of what God is doing amongst the Jewish people.
Our resource this week, the series Esther, for Such a Time as This, on DVD. This 8-part series presents the biblical account of the young, beautiful Jewish woman who becomes the Queen of Persia. When Esther is confronted with murderous racial hatred, she allows herself to be used by God and saves the Jewish people from genocide. Contact us for the DVD series Esther, for Such a Time as This.
Hello, my name is Andrea Davis, and I've been working with Zola Levitt Ministries for over 20 years. For me, this is not just a career, it's a calling, and I'm so grateful for those who feel called alongside us. Your prayers and financial support help us produce informative, anointed television from Israel. So please continue to give as you are able, and let's continue this journey together. Thank you.
The Sea of Galilee, Capernaum, the Valley of Armageddon, Jerusalem, the Mount of Olives. The wonders of the Bible can only be experienced in Israel. Zola Tours invites you to join a dream vacation you will never forget. We offer a deluxe 10-day tour in the spring and fall, with an optional extension to see the rose-red city of Petra, or cruise Greece, where the Apostle Paul witnessed to the Gentiles. To experience the study tour of a lifetime, call 1-800-WONDERS or visit us at levitt.com.
There's a song that I've been singing for probably the last 35 years, and I had the chance to sing it in Israel not long ago. I think you might have heard this song, I Walked Today Where Jesus Walked in Days of Long Ago. If you come with us on a Zola Levitt tour, I have a feeling I'll sing this song for you on our tour. You can find all the information on levitt.com. Go there, and we'd love for you to join us on a Zola Levitt tour. Now let's go to our Hebrew lesson with Deanna Mailspin.
Shalom Chaverim. Hello friends. This is my little one here, and she is learning about Purim as well and about Geulah, redemption. The story of Esther is about Geulah, redemption for the Jewish people and for Israel. And we would like to remember that and continue to be in prayer as the whole story continues of redemption of the Jewish people.
Thank you, Deanna. I love that her daughter is learning at a young age Geulah, which is redemption.
Redemption.
Yes.
And isn't it wonderful to teach the younger, because the younger ones remember the language easier than when we're old.
Very
old,
true.
like this. And something else I learned this week, watching some Hebrew videos and reading about the Hebrew language, is the emphasis is usually on the last syllable. So instead of Geulah, it's Geulah.
Let's say it one more time.
Geulah, redemption.
Yes.
Now let's watch as Esther requests Haman to be hung.
היום בשושן היהודים הרגו 500 מאויביהם, כולל את 10 בניו של המן. ועתה, מלכתי, מה בקשתך? מה בקשתך, מלכתי? דברי ויעשה.
אם רציתי את מלכי, אנא אפשר ליהודים בשושן לעשות מחר את מה שהחוק מאפשר היום, ותלה את 10 בניו המתים של המן.
Honey, just one more time. Seems that one day wasn't enough to attend to the business of the day, which wasn't pleasant to be sure. But if you're going to go after a tumor, don't just take half of it, get all of it. Because if you don't get all of it, you're going to have to come back and take it out the next day anyway. You're going to have to revisit the surgery. Well, they were cleaning house happily. That is, that individuals were given permission to fight for their own life. The net result is that anti-Semites are being pushed back some. But here we see the drama of Esther, who petitions the king, her husband, please, we need to continue this business. And it reminds me how the story doesn't end, that we have to continue that business even to this day, it seems to me. In any case, in this day, I'm coming to you from a place where we've interviewed the soldier that fought here, by the way. Ammunition Hill, as I said earlier in this segment, was a battle royal for Jerusalem. It was fought here, and people are commemorated for them giving their lives here. And in this very place as well, a struggle was ensued. I want you to look with me, please, in chapter 9, verse 5. We're told that Mordecai fared well, as did others. In the text, we're told, Ha'ish Mordecai holek v'gadol. And Mordecai waxed greater and greater. We're told as well, Vayiku HaYehudim. And the Jews smote Bechol Oivechem, all their enemies, Mikat Cherev, with the edge of the sword. Here again, mobilized were forces to stay the hand of those that would seek to destroy them. I believe that warfare is both material and spiritual. As you know, we live in a day today where individuals certainly need to contend for a way of life, for biblical values, for biblical virtues. And we do that socially, we do that politically, we do that spiritually. When I look at the biblical text, there's a way of being. We call it Judeo-Christian ethics, Judeo-Christian values. From the Old and New Testament both come a way, come a vision. Interestingly and historically, it's the case that there are forces amassed to snuff out that fire, to quench it, to dim the vision, to hinder individuals from seeing what God is doing in the world and will do in the world in days to come. It's important that individuals like me and you, that we unsheath our swords. And I'm speaking spiritually here of a biblical sword, at a place, by the way, where people actually fought with knives for their lives, here on Ammunition Hill. From this place, from this text, speaking from me to you, from my heart to yours, let me encourage you to stand up for biblical ways. Open up that Bible, read it, stand on it, advocate for it, and you will be indeed pleased that you did so. And you will hear a voice at the end of days saying, "Well done, my good and faithful servant."
Thank you, Dr. Seif. We are back with our guest analyst, Ted Pierce, and we've had so many questions for you this series. Thank you for your wonderful answers.
Oh, thank you very much. Guest analyst, wow.
Yeah, it's a good title, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess so. I feel like I should be calling a football game, though.
Well, here's my question of the day for you. Dr. Seif was just teaching about the forces that are always going to be coming against the Jewish people because they were chosen and set apart. And I see that chosen as they're the apple of his eye, and sometimes there's envy. Is that what you see?
Well, yeah, I mean, but if you look at Deuteronomy 6, God says he chose them not because they were any better than anybody, but because they were smaller, and he wanted to show his glory through using this small group of people who had no strength of their own. So the interesting thing that I find, though, is chosen in the sort of the Hebraic sense has nothing to do with better. It just means chosen. Like if you're going to hammer in a nail, you're going to choose a hammer instead of a vice grips, So it's not about them being better. He chose them to bring salvation to us, to the entire world. So it's not like he loves them more than the Gentiles. It's because he loves the Gentiles that he chose them, But unfortunately, I think over the centuries, we've seen sort of this Greek idea that chosen means better. And so sort of envy arises especially in European church kingdoms of the past, where they say, no, wait, we're the chosen because we believe in Jesus, and they don't believe in Jesus, so they're not chosen anymore. That's a totally wrong idea what chosen is about. They are chosen so that we might know Yeshua.
So you think it's because we're hearing it taught in our churches wrong?
Well, it's just, definitions change over time, and I think it's just, it's an honest misunderstanding, but it is a misunderstanding. Mm-hmm. Yes, he loves them, but he loves us too. Obviously, he wouldn't have made so many Gentiles, right?
Isn't it funny that we're all trying to vie to be God's favorite? That's just such a human mindset, I think.
Especially in Israel, there's a lot of Jews who don't like being chosen. It's cost them quite a bit in their history. Anti-Semitism, I believe, comes from the envy of people who think of chosen meaning better. Where it doesn't. It just means they're chosen for a responsibility, and that responsibility has cost them quite a lot for many, many millennia now.
And that's what I think we don't get. The Christian church, I mean, we see it and we watch Schindler's List and we see what they've gone through, but we haven't had to digest that. It hasn't become part of our DNA as it needs to. We need to know, along with choosing, there's a price to pay.
Well, I mean, he chose us from the foundation of the earth. We're all chosen, but we're not all chosen for the same thing, So I think if we could just, I think envy happens to be the sort of the sin in the church that we don't even see. We find ourselves envying, that person's up on stage and I should be there, or that person the pastor really likes and he doesn't know me, whatever. Envy creeps in many ways, and it's really crept in our relationship as Christians to the Jewish people, over the fact that God did choose them to give us the scriptures. He chose them to give us, the oracles of God, to give us the Messiah, to give us Yeshua. And so it says clearly in Romans 11 that he did this so that we would bring the good news back to the Jewish people.
There's the story.
Yeah, we're chosen for that.
Right.
Yes, thank you so much for that insight today. That really helped us a lot.
Amen.
How about a song right now from Ted Pierce?
Yeah, I could do that.
For my days are like smoke and all my bones are in the furnace. My heart's so stricken and withered I can't even eat my bread, no. Shema Yisrael, you have not been forgotten, no, your time is come. Shema Yisrael, you will not be Zion. The time to favor Zion has come. For the name of the Lord will be declared in Zion, and His praise in Jerusalem. Jerusalem. This will be written for the future generation to come, who knows the time to favor Zion has come. And for a people yet created who would praise the Lord, the time to favor Zion has come. Shema Yisrael. Shema Yisrael. The time to favor Zion, the time to favor Zion has come. The time to favor Zion, the time to favor Zion has come. The time has come.
Thank you, Ted. We would love for you to join us next week for our final program of this wonderful series, Esther, for such a time as this. But for right now, our prayer is Sha'alu Shalom, Yerushalayim.
Pray for the peace of Jerusalem.
Our monthly newsletter, The Levitt Letter, is free and full of insightful articles and news commentary from a messianic perspective. Visit levitt.com to find our newsletter, along with current and past programs, our television schedule, and much more.
Don't forget to order this week's resource by calling 1-800-WONDERS, or you can purchase it from our store at levitt.com.
Your donations to Zola Levitt Ministries help these organizations bless Israel.
Thanks again for joining us this week. Zola Levitt Ministries and this television program depend on tax-deductible donations from viewers like you.
This has been a paid program brought to you by Zola Levitt Ministries.